In the second part of Chapter 6 we consider the idea of risk. Risk is the second important real-world problem associated with critical thinking. Risk does not always involve a tame or simple problem, such as 2 + 2 = 4. Risk is often wicked or open-ended. That is, it is not zero-sum. A real-world example might be deciding what the right investment plan is for our savings. There is often no clear answer. Much may involve luck. This is why we need logical critical thinking skills, why we need to understand logical fallacies, cognitive biases, why we need to think creatively, and why we need to recognize wicked problems. Having weak critical thinking skills in understanding risk may result in inaccurate assumptions and costly errors, lack of anticipation or foresight of an event. Failed systems. Groupthink, and bad decisions or advice. This is really
もったいない。
How can we do risk management using critical thinking? Here are a few practical strategies. We should not trust information just because someone said it is correct. We should check and verify the information objectively and logically, and not subjectively. We should think about the other variables that might influence the problem or the solution. We could question the current method or system. What are the goals and are they being achieved? Whose purpose do the current systems serve? We should also talk with others. Am I an expert? Limiting the Dunning-Kruger effect. This brings us to tasks 9 and 10 on the assessment template. Task 9. Challenge 1. This involves logic and creative deduction.
Mary was found dead in her room. There was a note next to her bed. The police identified 3 suspects. Ariana, who was Mary's co-worker, Regina, who was Mary's sister, and Selena, who was Mary's best friend.
Who killed Mary? Now try challenge 2 for task 10. You will need to use creative application for this problem.
A detective was resting in a house beside the fireplace. Suddenly he heard a loud crash. A snowball had been thrown at his window, and it had broken the glass. The detective jumped up and ran to the window. He saw the 3 Blacksmith brothers, Sam Blacksmith, Mark Blacksmith, and Mike Blacksmith, running away. The next day, the detective found a note pinned to his front door. The detective immediately knew who threw the snowball.
Who threw the snowball? For challenge 3, you will need to use logic and think about the context. This is an example in real life.
A boat has a ladder that is 10 meters long, and the ladder hangs off the side of the boat. The last 2 rungs of the ladder are 2 meters submerged in water. Each rung is 1 meter apart. If the ocean tide rises 5 meters,
how much of the ladder will be underwater?
The police were called to the scene. A man was found dead at the bottom of an 8-story apartment building. The police needed to decide if it were a suicide or a murder. The chief detective walked up to the second-floor apartment, opened the window, lit a cigarette, and then threw the cigarette out the window. He then went up to the third-floor apartment, opened the window, lit a cigarette, and threw it out the window. This he repeated to the 8th-floor apartment. The detective then returned to the first floor and went outside to where the body of the man lay dead and where his colleagues were waiting. He announced confidently, "This man was murdered."
Why was he so confident?
This has been a PyCubed production.